Okay, it's 11 o'clock and we like to start on time here. Hi everybody. I'm Ilona. I am the author of The Pebble in Your Shoe publication here on Substack. And I like to talk about things that people of a certain age in the third chapter of their lives find as issues or questions or curiosities about how to move forward. And some of it involves unprogramming some of the things that we learn as young people, growing up in households that maybe weren't supportive about doing things differently or being different. Hi, Christy. Um, oh, it's Deborah Coig. Okay. All right. Thanks. So it's not John. So we got a lot of female energy here. Um, so anyway, today I have invited one of my favorite people in the whole wide world, Miss Jenny Santa Maria, to come and speak with us. Once you meet her, she'll probably be one of your favorite people too. She's just got the nicest way about her, great energy. And she actually went on the Traveling Women's Circle trip that we had to Greece this past year. And we all had we really enjoyed spending time with Jenny. I met Jenny a couple years ago, 3 years ago, maybe, at a friend's house who had a Pisanki egg painting party event. And Jenny was the teacher. And I immediately gravitated to her because I loved the way she taught it and how she was so, I don't know, it was like part of her. It was part of her. And she really believed in it and expressed so much important information about it that I was like, this is important to me too, because it was so interesting and so important as a part of a way to express creativity. And so anyway, I'd like to introduce you to Jenny. Jenny, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm delighted to be here. I love Alona too. The feeling is mutual. Um, I feel really privileged to be on the journey I'm on. I worked in a self-contained school for 11 years. I have a degree in art education and special education. I thought, as a teacher, what do? You work in a school, and life is much grander than I pictured. That is not what the trajectory would be in my life. There were a lot of different things that occurred, a lot of synchronicities, realizations. I was becoming frustrated in a school setting. My school actually ended up shutting down. And as a result, I chose to workshop for a living, empowering folks through the arts with that sort of special education heart that I have. And it has turned into a whole new thing that it's well beyond learning art. Not only is it affecting the lives of people that take the classes, but it's so joyful for me as the instructor, as a facilitator, presenter, and artist. I feel that the work I've done in teaching is just as important to me as the work I create here at my studio, at my desk. It is an art. To teach is an art. And I love trying to master that. I use universal language. I work with all kinds of people. A lot of them are women. I get a lot of women that take classes, and it's a very rewarding work what I'm doing, and I feel very privileged to be on that journey.
Were you the one who told me that everything is art, or did I just make that up for myself? Like we talked about art being like everything. Like we could see the world as art and how we do things as art.
I think that it is. I don't know if we talk about it, but I would piggyback on that the process of creating art is not all that different from actually living an artful life, actually a process of living. So I'm very process oriented in my work. And I'm realizing art and life really are the same in a lot of ways. And there's a lot there: self-compassion, forgiveness, acceptance, having fun, playing. There's ebbs and flows, a lot of emotion.
Yeah.
It's like creating a work of art and creating a life really are parallel in a lot of ways.
I agree with you. Well, tell us what you're working on right now. You're teaching is sort of like it goes in phases, and I know this time of year you're heavy into one thing, and that's
Mhm.
Substack was about last week was this form of art. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got into it and what it is?
You mean Faseki or the art and the non-artist stuff?
the Pisanki, what you're busy doing right now. This
Oh, yeah, well, this is the season. It's spring, it's all about the eggs in the spring, and it's very joyful to teach that class and to see what people make. People produce unbelievable work on their first try, and that class is very special. As far as I'm aware, and I certainly could be wrong, that I might be the only instructor of Pisanki that workshops this class in the country. There are other people that teach Pisanki, but they typically would teach in like a church basement. It's not something they would travel with. It's actually not that easy to teach the class. So I've gone through all kinds of trial and error and refining that workshop. And I'm at a place where it's like down to a science. I know like the space I want to create, and it's just unbelievable the way that people come together with this sense of shared humanity. It's like all the world shows up for these workshops, and we share family stories. We learn the technique. I created a space intentionally so people can talk with each other. And by the end, we put all our work in a basket. We take a lot of photos, and each work is representing each person that made it. So you're really belonging to like the whole world there. And it's very powerful and visual for people. Sometimes people cry, people laugh. And I'm very proud of this work. It's like I'm really leading my own life. I don't know anybody else that's teaching these eggs 7 days a week for 8 weeks. It's just like such a Herculean effort, and it's like I'm running on joy fumes.
Well, and I know the rest of the year you're working on your art and sharing it. She has a TikTok page where she shows us what she's working on. Can you show us some pieces of your work so maybe people who aren't familiar with the Psyche could?
Sure. I'll show you two pieces real quick. I'll show you two pieces I'm very proud of.
Hi,
So,
hi, Roger. Hi, Doug. Hi, Jean. Hi, Chris.
okay, so for those of you that don't know what Pisenki is, really quick, it's an ancient tradition that belongs to Ukraine. Folks in other regions surrounding Ukraine also participate in Pisenki, but the traditions are a little different. I teach the Ukrainian Orthodox way of doing Pisenki, which is batik on eggs. I was taught this when I was 19, and I've been trying to expand that vocabulary for many years while also teaching folks how to do it. And so this is where I'm at. And the work I'm doing now, I could not have done a year ago. Every year you get better and better. Like not just me, anybody that does this work. So this is the work I'm doing now. I'll hold it up so you can see. So this is on a duck egg. I've been doing these mandalas this year. Every year I do different things. And this is an example of a work I did this year that I never tried before. It's a white design on a white egg. Hopefully you'll see it. It's Saint Francis, and Saint Francis is holding a bluebird,
Aw.
and everything about him is designed to
Yeah.
look.
Now that you're holding, I can see his face, his beard. Yeah.
It's so fun. I love his eyes are shaped as birds. His hands are wing-like. So I designed Saint Francis to kind of reference a bird. So like I love exploring my own creativity like this. Like I do little drawings, and I travel. I'm on the bus to New York. I go to places, and I love to do little drawings, when I'm bored, and then I turn them into designs on eggs. So that's the the
And
eggs
you've
there.
also done Greek inspired eggs after our trip to Greece. And
Oh my goodness, yes. I The trip to Greece was such a gift, and I loved soaking up a lot of the imagery on the pottery. But a takeaway from that trip was after our wonderful I felt like when we went to Zakynthos, it was like it primed my canvas. Like I was so ready to receive the gifts of Greece by the time our retreat was ending. It felt so wonderful. And I know some of you that are in the chat were on that trip, so it's like great to share that with you. But going to Crete afterwards, I was delighted to see the artwork there on the pottery because these ancient cultures celebrated novelty. Everything looks uniform, but then upon really inspecting, you see that each element is a little different, and it gave me permission. I finally gave myself permission, like, oh, I'm not going for uniformity. I want things to feel alive. I want them to feel like they're moving and alive. So it actually gave me this permission after I went to Zakynthos and Crete. When I came back home to the studio, I'm like, I'm not aiming for precision. I'm aiming for expression. And that huge takeaway.
Well, so that kind of segues into what I'll talk about with the people that I write for. And a lot of your classes are filled with people in their third chapter, not everyone, but there are a lot of women of a certain age there. And what would you say that they how do they come to your classes? Do they come ready to express themselves, or what is
Um,
things that you have noticed?
Oh, yeah, I get a lot of women in that 3rd chapter. I mean, that is, like, really a main demographic. Of course, I wanna have see more men, and I'm also this year seeing a lot more younger folks. But generally, the classes seem to attract women in their 3rd chapter, and there is so much potential there. Like, I see that because you would have a different relationship with yourself, like, one that's grounded in an experience that other folks might not necessarily come to the table with. But generally, many women show up kind of not sure what's possible for them. I mean, I see a lot of possibility, but for a lot of women, they see a lot of limitation. So, I operate a little different here. Like, I come to the table with beliefs. Like, you are not only capable, but you have everything you need. I really believe that. You have everything you need. I'm just going to guide you through this, whatever it is we're gonna learn and do together. And a lot of women, they love the vibe. They're you gotta express, like, the vibe of the room. Everyone's coming to the table a little nervous, a little they're fun, they're laughing, but they're like, "Okay, well, you haven't seen what I'm gonna make yet." Like, it's a lot of self-deprecating humor there. I'm like, "Alright, well, we'll see, let's see. We'll entertain possibility." And, you know, I I feel that we are not as limited as we've been told. And our culture reinforces the idea, like, that artist belongs in a category, and that is not the reality. Like, we are born with creativity, and that was our first language. Art is our first language. This is what I believe, and that resonates with a lot of people. If they've ever been around a child, I mean, you would know a child has limitless creative potential. They love it. They don't get in their own way. And for women in their 3rd chapter, like, you've served in a lot of ways. It's time for you to serve yourself. It's time to entertain the possibility that it's time to play and lead in an artful way now, as it should have been, really. It should have been reinforced by our families, our culture, and our society.
I remember the first time that I participated in the class with you, and I saw the end products you brought along, and our friend who hosted, she's like an artist, and
Mhm.
what you did, I'm like, oh my gosh, mine's going to turn out like crap. Like, how can I do this? I felt beginners, disease. I was like, had never done it before, but I also had baggage that I'm not an artist. I don't know how to do this. Like, how can I do this? But what ended up happening was I was drawing a lot of straight lines. Well, I know how to draw straight lines. Like, it started to gel for me, and it turned out pretty. Oh, I should have brought mine up. I I was like, wow, maybe I can do this. Like, it's really empowering, but I can't
Yes.
not that way. I can't do
Yeah.
issues in my head. Do you find
I
have the same?
I would love to share. Oh my gosh, I can't tell you how many people that I hear these conversations a lot. I get emails every day. I mean, I see certain faces all the time. They come to all these different things I host. I'm very grateful for that. I think my approach has really helped people and served people move through these things because people do need to prove it to themselves. Like, I don't necessarily feel that a good teacher is going to be someone that just gives you a lot of information and then you're going to follow along. That is not working in schools. That is not working anymore. We cannot have this anymore. And so, from working in special education, I had to, like, each kid had a customized, way of doing things that worked with them. I had to meet them where they were at. So, because of that experience, it primed me in helping folks see how they can prove it to themselves. Everything has to be designed that way, the programming, the language. Um, and so really, like, I use these tools for the population I feel is the most underserved, and it's the general public. The general public, like you know, that a lot of people, I can't draw a stick figure. These are things that have been reinforced by our culture. Art is over there. artists are over there. They spell it with a capital A. And it's like ridiculous. We are artists. We were born artists. We were supposed to be. And if we don't, access that and celebrate our creativity and our innovative thinking, like how are we ever going to get out of the messes that we're in today's time? Like there's nobody more creative in the whole world than like a single working mom on Christmas morning, like putting gifts under the tree. I mean, like women are enormously creative. I mean, we just have to see it, recognize it.
Yeah, you said that your degree in special education like equipped you to approach things differently. And
Oh
I
yeah.
it's like really clicked for me because I was like an okay student and maybe I could have benefited from different approaches like back when how many years ago? What is this? All right, so 50 years ago, 50 some years ago when I was in school, um I didn't like I only did as well as the teacher I had. Like if I had a good teacher. Now, I wonder if
Mm.
approaches that you're saying, like that you have to design for students that are not learning in a traditional way, like what if every teacher had those skills? Like, my gosh, it would have been like a completely different
I know. I'll never forget, we had an in-service once, and I worked with the best staff. I belonged to a wonderful culture of teachers. I worked at a school called the Oakwood School. It was, it was actually designed for oppositional and anxious students. So we specialized in that population. Really tough work. Like, I earned my stripes, but it was very rewarding work, very rewarding. It was wonderful, and I loved all my kids, each one. No matter how despicable their behavior may have been, we all loved our kids. We did. And I'll never forget, we had an in service and we had a chat with some of the female staff. We had a chat about how different the world would be if each child, was given an IEP, which is called an individualized education plan. You know, kids came to my school with an IEP. But what if each child that entered a public school got an IEP? Think about what yours would say. Like mine, I know what mine would say. It'd be like Jennifer is a shy student. Jennifer is an anxious student. Jennifer pairs well with children that are kind and like-minded. You know, Jennifer struggles in math. You should pair arts with math. I can imagine, like, imagine what your file would say and how wonderful you would have been served.
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, it's unfortunate that we don't actually have that. It's very progressive. But, like, then you would need half the schools to be counselors and half the school to be staff, teachers. So, I don't know. That's very grand thinking, but that
I
is
know,
a
I mean,
wonderful thought.
occurred to me, like, things could have been different for me.
Could have been.
Why do women in particular have internalized the message of, "I'm not artistic"?
Hmm. Well, it goes beyond gender. I think a lot of men, struggle with that too. That's part of the reason why I don't feel like I see a lot of men in the classes. At least women are willing to show
Mhm.
up.
Maybe, yeah.
Um, I think that these like the pressure of like I can't. I think that it shows up strongly in women because we are prone to carrying a lot. We carry a lot in our lives. We manage a lot. You think raising children, maybe running a business. We hold multiple roles. In fact, I've joked at some of the workshops, like we women have too many tabs open. I joke out loud. We have a lot of tabs.
I agree. They don't have time to be artistic, like, I have 10 I had to take care of my parents, I had to take care of my kids, I had to go to work.
Yeah,
It's time
yeah.
art, you know?
Yeah, it feels like fluff, like I'm not an artist that skipped my generation. My kids are artistic, my siblings are artistic. I hear a lot of things. It's all the same stuff,
Mhm.
unfortunately. Um, but these are messages that are left unexamined, all right? And they become like hardened. And then the I can't is a box that we get put in. We get put ourselves in. It's like a bird in a cage. I hate to equate it like that, but it is like that. I think a lot of women are familiar with that feeling of being like a bird in a cage, because there's a lot of pressure on us. And to say I'm not artistic is really functioning as a protective cage. Um, it's a boundary, and you don't have to try, you don't have to grow, you don't have to feel vulnerable. Um, but this also limits you. Yeah. Like it limits your experience and your learning. And you don't deserve that. Like, I don't think people deserve that. Nobody deserves that. Women, children, men, we do not deserve to be a bird in a cage. And
In the cage, whether others or ourselves, it's time to come out of the cage.
very hard to do that. You know, you got to be willing to confront some stuff too. But if whether you believe this is your one life or not, you have a precious life and you deserve to live a fully engaged one. And that is like I've been sharing this year, like every workshop I want to put together is a celebration of life.
Mhm.
And that takes the pressure off. It's like, we're not coming to the table where you're going to learn a skill and you're going to pass a test. We're here because we're grateful to be here. And that's all. You showed up. You are enough. You showed up.
I just had a flashback to the second class I did with you, and I broke 2 of the eggs. First, I was panning, and, everybody's with you, and they're all panning, and then I broke it. Then I had to start over, and then I started that, and then I broke another one. And then you said to me, "Don't let this get in your head," right? Because now I'm like, "What kind of jerk breaks 2 eggs?" And was this during the bird flu too? Because last year there were not enough eggs, and I'm bleeding. Remember? Oh, well, it was awful. But anyway, I like how you do have the programming that's so ready to come up and say, "You suck. You keep breaking the eggs." And then I was behind because everybody else didn't break their eggs. And now I have to start over again, right? So a lot of lessons I think do come up. And you're
Yeah.
okay with not being the last one done, maybe, or
Yeah.
making plans. Like maybe I'm not going to make something as intricate because now I've broken 2 eggs.
Also, everybody's journey is different.
Yep.
And I see, and in working with oppositional students, I had to come to work already prepared for what are all the things that could go wrong and what are all the things that a kid could say or do, and meet them where they're at or design my program to suit them so they can be successful. Very important. So, how do I lead people to success? I have to create a space that feels safe. I want people to know I'm approachable. I joke, I say I'm like an art waitress. Anything you need, you let me know. And then if someone breaks an egg, like in case for Pisanki and with you, um, a hand on the back and say, I'll clean you up and wipe your tears and just grab another one. It's okay. And if that person's still holding on to it, that's a conversation of like, the eggs teach a lot of things. I've lost a lot of work and that doesn't mean it's lost. There are no failures. You're either going to win or you're going to learn something. And what are the things that we can learn? How can we go into this and like frame the wording so that it gives you your self-worth and and shows you self-compassion. That's a very important takeaway with art.
So, well, since you're on that topic then, like, how do we, come out of the cage? And, like, we can come to your class and you can make it about feeling alive, but, like, you're not always with us, Jenny, even though we love you and we want you to be our best friend. But how do we do that, like, in our lives?
It's actually an oddly easy thing. I think that it kind of speaks to like I read sometimes a little bit on Zen Buddhism because I find it interesting in Taoism. And there's a lot of people that practice to say, how do I reach enlightenment? How do I do that? And that's a funny paradoxical question because like you already are there. And I think the arts is like that. Something I've kind of said before is that I think learning is something that aging demands. And I want to elaborate a little bit on this because demands sounds like pressure. And to answer your question of like, how do we do this? How do we let our creative bird out of a cage? I think that we need to see that life demands us to learn, not because we are under the pressure to learn and we have to pass the tests. It's that we have a responsibility to ourselves, um, that we just have to show up and we deserve it. We deserve an artful life. We deserve to be happy. We deserve to be with each other. We deserve to take art classes and have fun and play. If we can acknowledge that we deserve it, I think that is a wonderful first step at opening that little door to that cage. Um, because I think that it's at odds with our society though. We have a culture that's reinforcing that we are suppressed. So, like, but our parents have reinforced this, maybe. Our schools are reinforcing this. I mean, it's really hard to break that. But I think for folks in their third chapter, you got a little wisdom under you. I think you know. I think you know that it's time. It's time to have a little fun.
I think the shift from being perhaps a working person, a productive person, someone that contributes, uh, maybe financially, and then when those things are removed, we have to, do some work on what we deserve, right? You deserve a paycheck because you've done this work. There's always this, and to deserve something when you haven't done anything is a big shift. Like, why do I deserve this? Because I am like who I am as a human. I deserve to feel joy, and art brings me joy.
Yeah.
Well, maybe
Yeah.
let's go a higher level. Maybe it's not art, but it's just being creative. Maybe because people have a lot of baggage around the word art, and I like that you have put words around saying maybe I can be creative today. And creative is, maybe a little less pressure than art, although I think it's the same, but that's just me
Yeah.
anyway.
When you practice creativity, I think that you don't have to label that. That's important too. Our society loves labels, and words contain things and put things in boxes too. Our language cannot represent how important it is for us to just have a creative voice and just share it the way we want to. It could look simple. It could look like redecorating a corner of your room, reorganizing a part of your closet, putting on a necklace with a pair of earrings that don't go together. I mean, like creativity is like part of your way
Yeah,
of life.
just putting on your clothes, that to me, and I
Yeah.
that never felt that way, but now I think about it. I'm like, I don't feel a certain
Yeah.
I wanna look a certain way because I can to me, that's a new creative act, like getting
Yeah.
dressed.
Yeah, those are simple things that are actually part of practice, right? That's creative practice. I'm practicing my creativity. It's fun and lighthearted, and I don't have to worry about what other people think about it. What matters is what I think about it. And I actually, explore this a lot in journaling. I'm a huge champion of journaling. I've had the best conversations of my life I've had in my own personal journals. I have these conversations with myself, and I look back at them and I say, damn, I came a long way. Like, wow, I was really going through it. Or wow, that's actually profound. What a profound thing for a 25-year-old girl to say. Like, I think that journaling is a wonderful way of also opening that little door for your bird to come out because, I don't like to stay in the margins. I will write and draw right into the margins. I draw little pictures that go along with the writing. So you're inviting creativity by doing things a little different outside the box.
Well, on our trip, you had us all, take little mini books with us so that as we explored the island or, you know, enjoyed a meal, that we could record our thoughts, and I think that is such an interesting thing. So, I'm a sporadic kind of journaler. I do it for a while, and then I put them away, but I don't ever throw them away, and then I go back and read them, and it is so interesting and enlightening, just some of the like, how smart I might have been.
Yeah,
Like, wow.
yeah, yeah.
Like,
Intuitive you might have been, sensitive you might have been. I mean, I
percent
feel like with journaling too, you got to take some of the pressure off. Like that's why when we wrote down that recipe, remember they shared a wonderful Greek cake like recipe? Let's throw that in the journal too. I feel like when we start mixing different things into the journal, it becomes like a free for all. Like, all right, it could take any form it wants to take. So now it's not just me writing about reasons I'm sad. I'm writing about anything, anything that is inspirational to me. And it invites like your life to take a shape in physical form. And that's kind of cool. Like
Mhm,
they're like notes of on how to live an artful life. Someone that is struggling, someone that is understanding, having compassion about things, sharing. Like that's somebody that's, deserves to have a conversation with themselves.
mhm. I wanna ask you, you said learning is something aging demands. What do you mean by that?
Yeah. Well, aging does demand it. It's a fast-paced world. I mean, we are changing by the day here. But that word demands is makes it feel like pressure. I think what I mean really is that we deserve to be learning throughout every stage of our lives and experiencing how enriching that can be. It's not a test.
If you're not learning, like, what are you doing? Like, I feel like
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
people automatically are learning too, but I mean, it's different.
mhm,
Like, put that forth and to want to learn and to change and grow, like that it's possible to just continue. And this is a great period of time, especially for me, because now I have time to try things that I never did. It's a great opportunity that I don't want to waste because I don't know how much of it I have left. Right. So I don't know what could happen to me in a month. I might not be physically capable of doing.
mm,
I feel like a
yeah,
different urgency because of, life, aging, seeing what's happened to other people, and I'm like,
yeah.
I wanna make use of every moment, you know?
Yeah, and like, that also can put pressure on you, though. Like,
Yeah.
I hear that as, like, all right, those are good motivators for learning, but that's also a form of pressure. Um, it I think that I wanna say I love a good quote. I had a wonderful counselor at my school where I was teaching, for the oppositional kids, and one of the counselors said to a kid in the hall who was having, like, a really hard time, and I was trying to work with this kid in the hallway, and the counselor came over and said, "What's the problem?" And he said, "I just can't do it. I'm not doing art today. I can't do it. I can't draw. I can't whatever." I can't remember what the situation was. "I can't do this." And she said with such wisdom, um, "We do most of our growing and stretching when we're uncomfortable."
Mm,
I was like, "Yeah, that that the language, it transcends the oppositional high schooler." It's like, that's relatable for me. It's relatable for anyone. Like, I'm teaching myself how to use a kiln. It's not an easy task on top of all the other things I do. I'm not a ceramic person. I'm not gonna tell people I do ceramic work, but I wanna learn how to use a kiln. I wanna be able to do that. So, I'm uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable reading a giant manual. It speaks to what that counselor said. We do our growing when we're uncomfortable, and, like, the better we get at being a little uncomfortable and seeing that we can do anything, anything can be figured out, anything can be learned.
mhm.
Wow, that is empowerment.
Well, I think part of it's just going on the journey, like, of trying something new and yoga. I think it's yoga. We do the work, but we let go of the expectation of what it should look like or the fruits that this will be something great. We just do the thing, right? We just do it.
Mhm.
We don't care about the end result, and I think that,
Mhm.
like, because there's always a worry, like, when we put constraints or deadlines or expectations on something, then, like you said, it's there's pressure, and I don't think that art thrives with pressure, although I'm sure it can, like, people have, done amazing things when they have a deadline, but, for me, at least at this point, like, I don't like deadlines. I just wanna take it easy. I wanna see what happens. I mean, I just want.
Yeah, it depends on the pressure.
Yeah.
I read a lot of books on, like, how to unblock ourselves, move through creative blocks, and there's a lot of great books out there, and one of them, I think it's called The War of Art, identified it as resistance, that resistance is the enemy of the maker, and resistance shows up in many ways, and that's what the book is all about. Um, but yeah, like, I would say actually, if you function under pressure with a deadline is kind of different than functioning under other kinds of pressure. Like, you can't produce good work. Like, if you make a masterpiece, how will I ever make it again? A
Yeah,
lot of
yeah.
right, a lot of, like, musicians are like, I made this incredible album. How am I ever going to make another album like this?
Authors who write books, that are bestsellers, like, "How am I gonna make
Ah,
another one?" Yeah.
am I ever going to make that book again? I mean, that is how you get in a creative block because now it's like you have pressure that is keeping you stuck. And it's yeah, sometimes pressure can actually be a very painful thing for creative people.
Mhm. So, we have about 10 minutes left, and I want to if anybody has any questions for Jenny, please feel free to write them in the chat, and I'm sure I'll read them to you since she can't really read it. Um, let's keep going, with the conversation, though. What is something that, you wish someone would have told you when you were younger about creativity or art? when you were young?
Yeah, I didn't really have a very nurturing situation. I think that I was drawn to the arts because it was very stimulating. It felt safe. And I honor my journey a bit because I think if people had shared with me really profound things about the arts at a younger age, I may not have been able to understand it. I had to learn a lot of things for myself. So I do kind of want to share that I don't think anything anyone could have said to me would have maybe really aided in my understanding of things entirely.
Yeah.
But I think that something helpful that could have been said would have been around the importance of play, because I put a lot of pressure on myself initially. I wanna make things real clear for folks because I teach the arts, I'm a champion of the arts. I'm not born with a creative gift. There are a lot of people that feel that if you like art, then you're born with a gift. That's not really my gift. I wasn't born with an artistic ability. I had to work at that, and, I wish that someone had been able to say when I was working and stressed and trying to impress a professor or um, create work, you know, play is the most important thing. You can't create anything good unless you're in a state of play. And to be kind to yourself. Those are very important lessons for a maker. Not too many teachers say that either,
Mhm.
right? Like I can't think of too many times a teacher put their hand on my shoulder and said, "Hey, like be kind to yourself. You're right on the task. You're doing a good job." Um, Maybe I could have skyrocketed. Maybe a lot of people could have with that type of encouragement.
Uh-huh.
But, like, for whatever reason, this was our journey, and if you're thinking about the arts as being a new part of your life, then I'm happy for you because it's ready for you. It's the friend that you didn't know you had. It was always there. That's good.
Jenny, so if people want to get more Jenny, where would they do that? How could they do that?
To get more Jenny. I, I work very hard. I teach at least 2 workshops a day, 6 days a week, all through the seasons, and I update my website constantly. So my website has all the workshops where I'm gonna be, and at the bottom of that homepage, I have my TikTok and Instagram there. I use TikTok pretty regularly now because the information is spreading faster there, and I actually feel like I'm really reaching people through that. It's like I'm teaching for free. I'm, like, creating works and then talking about creativity, and people just love it, and they're sharing it.
Oh,
Um
we should probably just mention that we are located in New Jersey, Central Jersey, and
Oh,
Jenny
it's true.
does go hither and yon. She goes to Pennsylvania. She's been to Vermont, or where you been north?
Yeah, Massachusetts, Rhode Island. I kinda travel a bit with teaching, but I'm
Tell them about your Kripalu thing. Is it
oh, which thing? I'm sorry.
Omega? Sorry, Omega.
Oh, yeah, oh my gosh. I have to show this to you.
Hold on a minute. So Jenny
I
was
couldn't
invited to be give a class at Omega in Is it Rhinebeck, New York?
It is in Rhinebeck. I got this in the mail, the Omega catalog, and I coulda just about fainted that I was featured in one of the pages, and it's one of the only it's pages that actually shows the person's work. I don't know what page this is.
What is that? Let everyone know when you're going to be teaching there.
I'm gonna be at Omega Institute on June 19th to 21st, and I'm kind of going in a direction with the arts about cultivating presence. I think it's very important as a medicine for our time, to be present and to enjoy each other and enjoy what we're about to do, and you know, be present with the materials, with ourselves, be where our feet are. And I'm grateful that that is something Omega wanted to offer, and it'll be the first time I actually ever led a group for 3 days where we are, doing a combination of meditating and also, like, just
Hey,
enjoying arts
you
together.
let it go for 5 days, so don't even say that.
Yeah,
Oh,
I say yes before I'm ready, because I feel like I'm ready deep down. Like, I love a good quote. I told you I love good quotes. One of my favorites is that the lower self thinks and the higher self knows.
yeah.
And my higher self, whatever that means, knows that this is the trajectory that I want it to take. And it's like that in your art and your life too. Like this is where it's supposed to go.
Um,
Let it go.
you're not going to be in your comfort zone, Jenny. I appreciate.
Nope. I'm not gonna be in my comfort zone. I'm doing all my learning while I'm uncomfortable, yes.
So, she not only does the Pisanki, which is her real, like, jam right now, but the rest of the year, she does classes on, teaching the non-artist and other
Mm,
stuff. Like, can you just talk about that? And so
yeah. I do art for the non-artists out of a lot of libraries, and they're free. I love when a library hosts because then people can just come. I will share that a lot of these workshops are designed for folks, and I label it non-artists because that's different than a beginner. All right. I see a lot of art classes for beginners, and a lot of people don't take them. People that are interested in like watercolor painting, for example, which is a very difficult media. So I'll take a watercolor for beginner. And then if they feel like they failed at it, they didn't follow the teacher's reference, they're like done with it. They don't. But if I'm very grateful that people know what I'm trying to do and I have a little following. So like if I make a class like watercolor for the non-artists, people are like, "Oh, all right. That person's got me and I'm just going to put full faith that this is for me because I associate with being a non-artist."
mhm,
And in our time together, we try to break that myth. Like a non-artist really is an artist with something in the way. So like once we get past all that and we experiment and we play, we create bookmarks, we do things that are low pressure things to learn technique, then it sets the tone properly for that person to learn who already comes to the table with limiting beliefs.
mhm. So anything else that you're doing? I think the best place, especially for the national audience, people that aren't here, is to go on TikTok. She teaches so much on there. If you Are you doing this on Instagram or no? I know
No,
no.
not really. I feel like Instagram, there's some gatekeeping. I sense like some gatekeeping there, and the information that I'm putting out there doesn't really move. I feel like Instagram is like kind of like a very stale billboard. That's like just how it feels. Whereas with TikTok, there is a huge engaged community. And like literally the second I post something, it gets moved.
Yeah.
So I use it more because I'm seeing it's received. Um, and I don't know where that will lead. You know, sometimes I see people, they show up to the workshops, like I found you on TikTok, which blows my mind.
Yeah. Oh,
Uh,
they do. Okay.
the way
Or
I did it.
show it regionally, because they know where you're from. But that's
Oh,
interesting.
you wanna talk about being uncomfortable. I have my foot in the old world. I am not a social media person. I made the declaration January 1st. I'm gonna try it for 1 month, 1, to try to figure out TikTok, like, edit a video and post it. And then you take that, you say, "Well, what tags can I use? How can it be better?" You know, ask around, ask a friend that uses TikTok, what can I do better? And I'm telling you, like, I went from the uncomfortable stage to the actually I'm enjoying myself stage. So it's like
Well, and
TikTok
what a time that was though, Jenny. Like, and this is your busy season, and then you learn something new. And believe me, I do videos too. It's hard. It takes a lot of time. Like you spend 4 hours doing one little video, plus the mental
yeah, but
preparing and everything. So,
you get better and it gets quicker and it's just one of those things, like, gotta be kind to yourself when you're learning.
so, anything about Jenny you can find on her website, Flame Tip Studio, Flame FLAME TIP studio.com. So that will lead you to her TikTok. You can sign up for her newsletter. Yeah, even if you can't attend one of her classes, she always shares really interesting, heartwarming.
Yeah. You could be part of the newsletter crew. I have a lot of people from around the country that subscribe to that, and I always put something empowering in there and images of different works people have made and stories. That's under my Learn tab on the website. If you click on it, a little pop-up will show up. Do you wanna join the newsletter? And if you do, you could throw your email in there.
Okay. We don't have any questions, so I guess we're going to say goodbye. Have a wonderful day. Thank you, Jenny, so much for coming on. And
Thank you.
we hope to hear more from you on your newsletter and TikTok. Thank you so much. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, thank you.
Really appreciate
Thank you.
it. All right, bye.
Bye-bye.